You ever ask yourself what hot sauce would go best on ice cream? No? We're going to find out. Today we're asking the age-old question, what spicy condiment is best on vanilla ice cream? Now this may sound somewhat foreign, but there are plenty of spicy ice creams and spicy condiments that theoretically pair well with ice cream. It's a creamy, slightly floral, sweet flavor. It tends to balance out a lot of the common ingredients in hot sauces. So let's get started and see what goes best with some good old ice cream. Up first, I'm going to double down on sweet. Before we do, just have some of the OG. Now, this is non-dairy ice cream for my sake. A little more watery, I would say, than standard cow's milk ice cream, but same general flavor profile, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to start with some Mike's Hot Honey. This is not the sweetest vanilla ice cream I've had, so I don't expect the honey's going to go too overboard. The sweetness. And I expect it will also work well with the floral notes that are in the vanilla. That did dial up the sweetness much faster than I expected. That said, the kind of floral undertones in the honey do pair very well with that vanilla bean flavor. And the heat's pretty subtle. Mike's Hot Honey, this is not the hotter variety, but it's not the hottest condiment you're going to find out there. Overall, solid pick. It's going to go in the lead for now as our first contender, but for me, that does dial it up maybe a bit too sweet, especially with a vanilla ice cream that's just inherently sweeter than the one I'm using. We'll move on to our next contender. Now, up next, I wanted to include a more traditional hot sauce in this lineup because most of these I've picked out for things that I think are going to fit well with some unique flavors that are already in there. But some good old salsa picante, vinegary hot sauce, and see, does the sourness of the vinegar forward sauce balance out the sweetness, or is this just not a match at all? Good old Cholula, which tends to be a little creamy on its own. Shouldn't have the same doubling down on sweetness issue necessarily as the honey. I do not know what to think of that yet. Despite the decent amount of Cholula I had in that bite, kind of got lost. A heavier ratio there. You only get that Cholula straight to the back of the throat is what I just got. But you only get that initial tang from the Cholula, and then it's pretty immediately neutralized by the creamy sweetness of the ice cream, even on a roughly 50-50 split of a bite there. That is such a unique experience that I wouldn't necessarily say that is a good example of an ice cream hot sauce combination. This has turned into something very, very different, which I don't dislike, but it's a very unique initial tang into a kind of more subtle vanilla ice cream experience because it feels very much like they're counteracting most of each other's flavors here. Interesting. I think I'll leave that below the honey strictly from the sense of one being a condiment to complement the other. But if you haven't tried that, I recommend it. That was in no way what I was expecting. Now we're going to go for a real wild card. Truff. I'm a big fan of truff. Love truffles. Polarizing sauce, as I mentioned in some of my other content, but no idea how it's going to pair with vanilla. I suspect it's going to completely overpower it, but we're going to find out now, aren't we? Truffle kind of has that very rich, some earthy tones. I'm thinking those may pair well with the floral sweetness of the ice cream. Little bitterness kind of in the truff as well, but the truffle flavor itself is so overwhelming. Mix it in here so it doesn't get a big glob of it. I feel like it's just going to overpower the vanilla ice cream. Again, a very interesting counterbalance struck between the two. This brings out a lot more of the bitter earthy notes on the end. So the initial taste, very much the vanilla and a bit of what you would kind of expect from a truffle flavored something. But on the back end, something in the middle is totally lost, and you don't get a strong vanilla taste, and you get very much the bitter, earthy components that are in truff. So again, don't think it does as well as the honey. Very similar interaction as the Cholula, but I would say I like this less even than the Cholula combination. It's just that back half of the flavor is very strange. And in the Cholula, it was unique and novel and not off-putting in any way. And this is kind of reaching the off-putting level of weird. So that will not be usurping the honey at this point. Now for our next entry, we're going to use some Fly by Jing's Zhong sauce, which is as surprising to you as it is to me, because I thought I picked up the chili crisps. That's what we were going to use, but we will make do with what we have. So I had something prepared to say about chili crisps, but I don't have those. So we're really just winging it now. This the aroma is much more of similar to a hoisin sauce. So very soy forward, garlic. Has some brown sugar in there, so it'll be a little sweeter. And chili, obviously, giving it the heat. Yeah, I'm just kind of rambling because I have no idea what this is. But that's pretty good. Much more oily, which pairs fine with the fattiness of the ice cream. So the creaminess kind of, rather than it just totally coating your mouth in oil and leaving you with a like, viscous, slimy oil sensation, it cuts through that pretty well with the fat. This definitely takes a hard left turn in terms of sweet. Nowhere near as sweet as like the honey situation. And even though it contains brown sugar, the sweetness isn't as forward as even with the Cholula, I don't think. But I like that quite a lot. It evolves into a much more savory flavor profile than any of the others so far. So the mushrooms on the end especially really come through. The garlic's a little more subtle, but the mushrooms definitely coming through swinging. And as far as the vanilla itself, I'd say it's present kind of in the middle of the flavor experience. It's not upfront sweet. A little bit of sweetness. You get a hint of the vanilla, that like floral vanilla bean flavor in the middle, and then it goes kind of the pure savory route. I had no idea what to expect considering I bought the wrong product, but I like that quite a lot. We're going to swap that out. We have a new, possibly temporary champion. We're going to move on. For our final two, we're going to be going up to the shelf. One of the main things, and having had that, makes a lot of sense, that people say is good are kind of the more pungent things like Gochujang and Sriracha. As it happens, I have Gochujang Sriracha. So we'll give that a shot. Now this, probably even, maybe not heavier, none of this just in case. Maybe not heavier, but much more tangy garlic presence than anything else so far, with this being the exception in terms of garlic content, but still probably tangier. Hmm. Something about that just does not work. It you get the vanilla sweetness. The heat comes through. This is probably the hottest one yet. It is the extra spicy version of this sauce. So relative to the others, it was probably the hottest sauce anyway. But a little bit of the vanilla comes through, and then it kind of devolves into a dirt flavor, which I don't know why. Something about that combination of flavors, it just negates all the good stuff. I don't really get much tang. I don't really get much garlic. It just really goes from vanilla to dirt real quick. That's gonna be a hard pass. Even though that's one of my favorite sauces, this is not the place for it. And for our last entry, ooh, good old dirty dicks. I feel like this ends up being the answer to a lot of questions. Um, and I mean, it's starting out with a pretty good advantage here. Fruity, syrupy sauces on ice cream is pretty standard. One of the kind of high recommended ones was I believe it's Bravado Company makes a blueberry habanero sauce. That's probably quite delicious. Couldn't find that one anywhere locally, but I'm gonna try it out with this, which very warm spices, so cinnamon, cloves, cardamom, that sort of thing, as well as very fruity, pineapple, banana, a little bit of citrus. Primarily a barbecue hot sauce, not terribly spicy, but everything about it sounds like it's probably going to work well with vanilla ice cream. One of the least spicy sauces in the lineup here as well. Yeah, it's like a banana cinnamon drizzle on your ice cream. A little bit of pineapple coming through. The citrus is kind of lost. I think the fat and citric acid kind of go to war, but that is really good. A little bit of tang, but it really leans in on the dials up the sweetness, not in a quite as ham-handed way as the honey did. It's very sweet, um, but just that blend of flavors is so good with vanilla. I think that's going to be our winner for today. I will say though, close runner up, whatever this thing is that I've never heard of, Zhong sauce. Zhong sauce. Bye bye Jing Zhong sauce. Chili crisps, yeah, those were supposed to be good. A little texture to it and whatnot, but this was not bad at all. I'd say if you want a savory option, give that a try. Maybe give chili crisps themselves a try, but very, very different experience than a sweet experience. This is definitely more of your traditional ice cream sweet dessert setup. That's its own monstrosity. Very tasty monster. And there you have it, our champion for today. Good old Dirty Dicks. Let me know what other unusual condiments you've tried on ice cream and found success with, or that have not gone so well, and what you learned from that. Sorry for the gap since my last episode. Upstairs neighbors got a little crazy with their water, but we're back. Hope you enjoyed this content. If you did, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you all next time.